And now, the historic final mission of this specific live stream this time, that right now, is the historic final mission of the Department of Education, apparently. Me, when my plan definitely isn't to delete / destroy the whole Department of Education. Shit, I messed something up. There we go. Somehow still got the start for that, the startup boost. U.S. Department of Ed workers decry, quote, final mission email as a power grab. Yeah, the Secretary of Education under Trump said, oh yeah, we're gonna be going on a historic final mission at the Department of Ed, which is like, yeah guys, we're gonna destroy the fucking department soon. My favorite person works for the education system. Sick. So does mine, actually. I one of my professors was just a fucking massive homie. Incredibly smart dude, and I learned a ton from him. And also super cool. And I'm actually looking forward to the, like, what is it, 5? I think colleges do like the 5-year reunion or whatever. I'm actually looking forward to that so I can see him again, as well as my other professors. But anyways, yeah, the Department of Education is not long for this world, unfortunately. And I think I skimmed this article as well before. The Department of Ed said, like, oh yeah, we're embarking on a final mission. This is a few days old, even as I'm reading this now, or as I'm recounting this. But they said, like, something along the lines of, we're gonna give education, we're gonna turn it over to the states again. You know, they use the states' rights thing because their plan is to not have a federal Department of Education. Which is bad. I don't think I should have to say that necessarily, but yeah, it's bad. It's pretty bad, guys. I wanted to take the time to explore, like, why they're doing this. Obviously, conservatives fucking hate education, but there are two defining motivations that lead them to do this. It's not just one or the other. It's actually both. Now, we've talked at various points at length on this channel about the necessary irrationality of fascism. How does not having a federal Department of Education make sense? I will get to that. Yes, in one way it is because they want to be able to teach kids whatever they want. So if there's a state that's, like, controlled by Republicans, they can just do the whole, like, far-right propaganda education bit and nobody can stop them. There are certain guidelines set by the federal Department of Ed that are, like, very, very wide, you know? But, yeah, number one is because I guess actually there would be three. Number one, they want red states to be able to teach kids whatever they want, so you're going to learn that trans people are degenerates in school. Number two is because the fascists hate education as a concept. They do not like the concept of critical thought and introspection. Action must be engaged in for action's sake. Thought and critical thought are emasculating, and such and such. You know, books are for nerds, basically. Like, literally, that's part of the motivation for why, like, the far right really doesn't like education. But then there's another really big one. That they love education for them. The oligarchs love education for them, for their kids. Because if they're smart, they can stay on top. But they despise the concept of the working class being educated. Because then the working class might get smart enough to be like, hey, now hold on a minute. Maybe we should get a slice of the societal pie since we're fucking working everything and do everything. And, you know, since we're all the workhorses and shit. So gatekeeping education. Yes. Those are the three reasons. Number one, they want to be able to indoctrinate kids and control children. It's to teach them whatever they want, keep the kids submissive and unawares. They want to keep the working class submissive and unawares. And they also just hate the concept of education for the fact that it's like, I don't know, books are dumb and for nerds or something like that. Literally, there's a version of this explained in Jojo Rabbit. Anybody seen Jojo Rabbit? Where the fucking kid whose name is Jojo, he has a imaginary friend played by the director Taika Waititi, and his imaginary friend is Hitler. It is incredible movie, one of the funniest fucking things I've seen on the screen. I would highly recommend it. And there's a scene where they're at the library. It's like Jojo's like, oh wow, it's like the parody of Nazi Germany that's barely a parody. It's like, yeah, the Jude, they have horns, they have they spit fire, they have pitchfork, and like whatever the fuck else, about like the Jews. And so Jojo's like, oh, I want to learn more about them, so I know how to fight them when a demon Jew shows up at my house, And they go to the library. He's trying to find books on this stuff, and his imaginary friend Hitler's like, let's just go and get out of here. Books are dumb. We should burn down this library, And it was a very fun little point, but like encapsulates like a large part of the fascist mentality. Introspection is bad. Education is bad. Action must be engaged in for action's sake. Critical thought is emasculating. Learn to be a big, strong man. You don't read any books. So those are the three big things. That is like, in a way, it does make sense why they're getting rid of the Federal Department of Education, and then in another way, they're doing it from like really, really irrational motivations that are going to lead to society languishing. A lot of labor in the United States does require some degree of education. If you undercut the ability of people to be educated enough to perform their work, then like society's going to fall apart. So basically, the fascists are being fascists, irrational, stupid, and like extremely creepy about kids. And the oligarchs are doing Marxism from the other side of the class divide. Literally, like, one of the biggest things about Marxism is that the working class should be well educated, at least insofar as their own interests are concerned. Like, you want people to have access to the resources to understand what they need and what situation people are in, And the oligarchs understand that. They want to prevent people from learning what their interests are and learning about the world. The more people understand the world, the more they want to change it for the better. And the oligarchs don't want that because they're perfectly fine where they are. They want to preserve that social order. Do one more race. Here we go. Message to employees on Monday. Newly confirmed Secretary of Education. Billionaire ex-wrestling executive. Yeah, Linda McMahon, wife to Vince McMahon from WWE, laid out the, quote, final mission for the department as Trump threatens to dismantle the agency. I did see as well in another news article, Trump is actually preparing to sign an executive order to that effect. They said, like, oh, they're not going to do it today. But there is an executive order in the works to dismantle the Department of Ed. So it's really on the chopping block. My vision is aligned with the president's to send education back to the states and empower all parents to choose an excellent education for their children. Yeah, so this is, it's about controlling kids. And doing the whole, like, patriotic education propaganda bit. Thank you. I learned a lot on your stream. Gotta go. Big hugs. Big hugs to you too. Always happy to see people having a good time here. This is our opportunity to perform one final unforgettable public service to future generations of students. Love my liberal fascism, where even the most fascist measures are clothed in the language of limp-wristed liberalism. Oh, what a great track to end it on. My favorite custom track. It's going to cost so much destruction no matter if you pay attention to the news. You're going to know when it's going to happen. Yeah, people will, like... You're going to find out, like... Irrespective of whether you pay attention to the news or not, you're going to notice when the Department of Education is gone. Because, like, that's a lot of money. Even if it's not the majority of money that schools get, it's still, like... I think it's something like 30 to 40%. Don't quote me on that. I have to find a, statistic to that effect. But there's a lot of money that goes to various education departments that comes from the federal Department of Education. And that money is going to be gone if the department no longer exists. Or if they dissolve it and put it into other agencies. Another thing that's going to happen is that student loans are going to be way different if they do this. This is a certified America moment because, you have to go into debt to get an education at, like, the higher education level. But a lot of those loans used to be private. They used to be like a private bank would give out those loans. And then in the mid-2000s, it changed so that, like, the government was now giving them out, and they were, like, a little bit more lenient with, like, more relief available. Eliminating the Department of Education would provide a, like, perfect opportunity to just set it back to, like, oh yeah, by the way, the banks are now giving student loans to people and can charge, like, whatever interest rate they want or something like that. Those are a couple dimensions to this, is that, like, schools are not going to get as much federal money. People are going to have a harder time getting education, and that's the intended effect, And in fact, that's kind of the intent of having education be something that you need to go into debt for at all, is to make it harder to get an education, and to, basically gatekeep it to those who have enough money. Like, straightforwardly, the purpose of making education so cost prohibitive is, well, to make it so that only wealthy people can get an education so that the working class stays dumb. Message comes as Trump is reportedly finalizing plans to issue an executive order to eliminate the 45-year-old Department of Ed and eliminate or reorganize the department's functions and programs. Yeah, so some of the stuff that the department does might still happen, but it would be under different agencies. And I have no doubt that, like, most of it just wouldn't happen. When you watch this next Invincible season, I want you to analyze it, even not if I'm not there in the room. Oh, I will definitely analyze the season of Invincible if I'm watching it. That's one of my favorite things to do when I watch media, because I am also a giant nerd. I love analyzing media as I'm watching and consuming it. The workers at the Department of Education called the email a power grab focused on privatization at the expense of children with disabilities and from low-income families. Shout outs to the workers in the Department of Education. People who work in the education system, that's my goat right there, whoever said this. Because it is. It's focused on privatization. The Department of Ed does a lot of public services, and not having it means that a lot of that would be delegated back to the private sector. Heartbreaking to read such a disingenuous, manipulative letter from the head of the agency, said one employee who requested anonymity. Yeah, and a lot of people are going to lose their jobs, too. I don't read the letter to be the end of the department. It reads as a transformation into something sinister, a tool for the president to use to ensure his ideology is implemented by states and local governments at the risk of losing funding. Oh, that's something that didn't even occur to me. But yeah, Trump has said this. One of the things he was willing to do is basically threaten states that are not politically friendly to him to say, hey, you need to comply with my ideological agenda. Otherwise, I'm going to withhold this money from you. You're not going to get this federal money that's supposed to go to you, but I'm just going to withhold it because, like, who's going to stop me, right? Congress? The fucking legislative body that does jack shit, Democrats would never do that. Yeah, because it's illegal and unconstitutional. It is, like, the most illegal that anything can be in this country. But, because Trump is powerful enough, because he's an oligarch, and because the Democrats are spineless, the law doesn't matter. If the Republicans just decide, yeah, we're not going to do X, Y, or Z, it is incumbent on, well, people who aren't those Republicans to actually enforce the law. This only works because the Democrats are too spineless to actually take any meaningful action to say, no, actually, you can't do that. We are going to literally go around you and behind your back, communicate with the courts and whatever, to say you can't do that, and to fucking stop you from doing that, you know? Another Department of Ed employee explained that morale is beyond low. It comes after an email from Elon Musk's so-called Doge told staff to justify their jobs by emailing 5 bullet points explaining what they did last week. Yes. After reading the former WWE CEO's email, that's like the fake wrestling shit for those in like Europe or wherever, coming off the back of Musk's email made me realize that I have 3 bosses that are billionaires that know nothing about improving the performance of America's students. God damn. Dude, imagine if any Democrat was like as vicious as these random workers at the Department of Education. Honestly, we need to run more teachers. More teachers need to run for fucking public office. Social studies teachers, particularly. This is a power grab. The message is clear that they want to privatize public dollars on the backs of our nation's most vulnerable children. We know poor children and children with disabilities will suffer with the plans McMahon has laid out. That's the Secretary of Education. Private schools will leave our students with disabilities out. Poor kids will receive less money to compete on a level playing field. Yeah, that's true. Private schools often are not great. In terms of like education, sure, they can provide a decent quality of education if you fit certain normative markers. Those markers being you're not like queer or disabled, right? Like there are certain accommodations that public services are obliged to do for minorities and people with disabilities that private schools aren't. Being a teacher will either make you a fascist dictator or socialist for some reason a lot quicker. Yeah, it's because, you know, education comes with a realization of like the insufficiency of the status quo or whatever. It's like it goes one way or the other. Either you start hyperfixating on the control over children, in which case you become a really fucking weird fascist like maniac, or you basically become Rosa Luxemburg. A third employee characterized the email as incredibly hostile and ominous of the plan to dismantle the department. Rare banger from The Guardian, I guess. But yeah, and the point of the Department of Ed is like to, well, again, provide public funding where it's needed. So, you know, poor schools benefit from this more than schools in wealthy areas. So that's another part of this. I guess more of that class dimension. They hate you. They hate you. They want you dead. They want you stupid, most of all. I guess this plays into billionaires wanting a workforce of slaves. If they can keep you dumb, they can more easily keep you enslaved. And education is not just job training. A lot of the neoliberal lie of the education system is that it is getting you ready for the workforce. Gonna leave. Hope you have a good day. The fascists don't take you. Thank you. Have a good day. One of the great neoliberal lies of education is that it is preparing you for the workforce. In a way, it is doing that because it's supposed to give you certain cognitive skills. But more importantly, I believe education is a liberatory force and well, it's meant to give you perspective and to like help you understand the world around you that you're about to enter beyond just work. That's why we have education for things like the arts, you know, because education is good. It's like, you know, it usually produces some pretty good experiences, you know, if it's not absolute shit. That's why all these fucking tech bros have no, like, these fucking tech bros have no background in the social sciences, you know? Because their version of education is just job training. And if education is just job training, then it doesn't teach you much about the world around you beyond that which you must do to meet the interests of your boss, the person above you, the person enslaving you. You know? If you understand a little bit more the social climate and the work environment that you're about to enter, then you would be better primed to recognize exploitative conditions and to recognize, like, hey, wait a minute, this isn't right. We should improve society, actually. And the billionaires don't want that. And that's why, at the core of it, that is why this is happening. Because, you know, now they have the power to do this, and the billionaires are like, finally, we get to make the working class even stupider. Anyways. If any of those are segments, you know, future me, cut it there. I'm gonna raid somebody now. Thanks for watching, and support the channel if you would be so kind.